This video is about programming basics relating to operators and Boolean operators. Now, operators are special characters that can perform certain functions. Some of them are really well known and you use them all the time in maths. Because they are mathematical functions, you actually need to follow whether it's BIDMAS or BODMAS that you call it. Now, computers will follow these rules, so they will look at brackets first, they'll look at the indices, they will look at the division, they'll look at multiplication, addition and subtraction in that order. So you've got to be really careful when you're putting your calculations in as part of your programs. So the basic arithmetic operators take two or more values and perform a mathematical function on them. The different types of arithmetic operators are addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. These are the ones that you will use all the time and have been in maths for probably the last 10 years at least. Okay, then you're left with exponential, div and mod, which we're going to look at as we go through. So the exponential operator is used to raise a number to a power. Now, in different programming languages, this can be set out differently. However, if we look at these examples, 2 to the power of 5 could be used like this, or 2 to the power of 5 with 2 multiplication sign. That is the exponential operator. The quotient operator is often known as div. So the div operator returns the whole number part of a division. So at first it's difficult to get your head around, but once you kind of memorize what the div part actually does, it's quite easy. So for example, 20 div 3 basically sees how many times 3 will go into 20. So 6 times 3 is 18, 7 times 3 is 21. So the closest we can get to 20 is 6. So the returned value would be 6. That is the whole number part of a division. Anything more than that and it's not a whole number anymore, so you have to put 6 as the returned value. The modulus operator returns the remainder of a division. So if we did the same sum as before but put 20 mod 3, you see how many times can 3 go into 20? We said before the closest we can get is 18, and then we're left with 2 over. So modulus returns that remainder, which is 2. The modulus sign in Python is a percentage. The quotient sign in Python is 2 divide signs next to each other. Best way of looking at modern div is to look at an example. Say you want to convert the length of a film in minutes to the length in hours and minutes. So quite often if you're looking for a film on Netflix, it tells you how long it is in hours and minutes. However, on the back of the box of like a DVD or a Blu-ray, it tells you the length of time in minutes. And sometimes you've got to stop and think, how many hours is that? How long is that going to be on for? So if we had a little program that converts it for us, you can basically ask them to input the amount of minutes that the film's going to be on for. So for this example, I'm going to put 150 in. So 150 minutes, we know that there's 60 minutes in an hour. So if we do 150 div 60, you can put 60 into 150 how many times? 60 is once, 120 is twice, 180 is 3 times. So we know that 3 times is too much. Twice is the closest we can get as a whole division. So the output of 150 div 60 is 2. 150 mod 60 works out the remainder. So 60 goes into 150 twice to get to 120, and then we're left with a 30 as a remainder. So the output would be 2 hours, 30 minutes. An assignment operator is 1 equals sign. It's used to assign a value to a constant or a variable. For example, const gravity equals 10. This is assigning to the left. So 10 is assigned to the left to gravity. Comparison operators compare the expression on the left to the expression on the right. So this would result in some sort of Boolean value being returned, whether it's true or false. For example, if mass is greater than or equal to 10, now the next step would be to run some sort of program, some sort of code. So if the result of that value is true, then you will go in one direction. If it's false, then you will go in a completely different direction. So these comparison operators are used to determine the direction of your program flow. Now there's quite a variety of comparison operators that you need to know. The first one is equal to, and the most common question I get asked is, what's the difference between one equal sign and two equal signs? So one equal sign is used to assign a value. So you are assigning something to the left. You're saying this is equal to this, as in constant gravity is equal to 10, as we used before. The double equal sign is checking whether something is equal to. So it's used to check something. So for example, if you want a true Boolean output, then you would say 10 is equal to 10. That would equate to true. If you say 5 is equal to 8, it isn't, so you get a false as your output. Not equal to is an exclamation and an equals. So that's used to say, like, if this is not equal to this, then do something. You can have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. And these are great things to use to basically determine a Boolean output from a check, from a comparison. A Boolean operator is something that works with Boolean values to produce a Boolean answer. So in other words, you'd have inputs that can only be Booleans. They can only be true or false. So if something is true and something else is true, then what will the outcome be? Will it be true or will it be false? There's three different operators you need for this: and, or, and not. And you go into a lot more detail with this when you get to the Boolean algebra section. So here's an example of some of the Boolean operators. And the basic Boolean way of understanding this is that one and the other must be true. So if you're comparing two particular comparisons, both of those need to be true for your output to be true. So in this particular case, 3 is less than 5 is true, and 2 is greater than 1 is true. So because both of those cases are true, your overall output will be true. False, 4 is less than or equal to 5 is actually correct. However, 10 is not greater than 20. So therefore one is true and the other one isn't. So the final overall output would be false. The or operator means that one or the other or both of them can be true. So 1 is greater than 8. No, it isn't. But 2 is equal to 2. So therefore the output would be true. 1 is equal to 8 is not true. And also 2 is not less than 2. So both of those are false, which means your overall output would be false. The not operator just literally reverses whatever the comparison is. So if you put not before a comparison, it reverses the output. For example, 5 is greater than 8 is not true, but if you put not before it, then it reverses it to be true. 10 is greater than 6, which is actually true. So if you put not before it, it makes it false. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Please hit like and subscribe.